Hello everyone. Following on from my last video, which I have to admit I quite liked doing, I had an idea to chat to other people in the orchestra and video that and share those with you too. So you've all heard of the chat show Oprah Winfrey. This is going to be Oboe Winfrey. Malachy is my first victim, and we had a really nice chat actually, and I was going to edit some of it out, but it's so good and the end is the best bit, so it's worth watching for the whole 10 minutes. Okay, here you go. Malachy, how are you doing?
Hey there, Matthew. Good morning.
How's it going in... Now, where do you live?
I'm living in Dublin, in Monkstown, which is where the ICO play quite regularly, in the church here in Monkstown, south of Dublin.
Okay.
And it's been real nice for me, the fact that we played in Monkstown over these last few years. I never expected us to show up in my nearby church, but in fact, the church in Monkstown here is where my grandfather's two brothers are commemorated on the wall. They were both pilots, would you believe, in the RAF.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So how near to your house is the church?
It's about 2 minutes walk.
So what I'm wondering is why we haven't all been invited back to your house.
Yes, you have.
I haven't.
Have you never been? Well, you
I have never been to your house, Malachy. Just let everyone know this. I have not actually been invited.
Okay. I'm sorry, Matthew. Well, I'll extend you an invitation right now. We have had many returns to our house, but I suppose often when we're here playing in Monkstown, because the church is a small space, it maybe is likely to have been the string programs where we don't have winds in very often.
Okay, that's going to be your excuse then, is it?
That is.
That is the excuse. Actually, we did do a concert not that long ago in Monkstown that I played in with Brett Dean.
Oh yeah.
That was a really interesting project.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, I look forward to seeing him again.
Yeah, I think. Do you know if there are any plans to get him over again?
There are, for sure. Yeah, I believe Brett Dean would like to come and visit us again, and we'd certainly like to have him. So if any of our audience enjoyed meeting him, they can look out for him again.
Well, that's great. That's really good. So how are you keeping sane?
Well, I feel very lucky, first of all, to have, at the moment, both of my kids are at home. Now they're not...
Hang on. That's lucky.
Yeah, well, because they're big young men now. One of them was over in Edinburgh, in the UK, doing a third-year Erasmus exchange when this thing hit, and he came home, which was sad for him to truncate his studies over there, and he was having a great time. But it's kind of nice for us to have him home. We would never have expected now to have our 21-year-old back in the house for an extended period like this, and the other fellow's 19. So, for example, yesterday we spent the third day, not all day obviously, but we returned to our game of Risk. Have you ever played Risk?
No, what's that? I don't
Risk, it's a board game where you have to conquer the world. It's armies, fighting each other. You use dice and you have battles. And it takes days, and most people who have ever played Risk have never finished a game of Risk.
Okay.
You can't finish it in one sitting, or at least I never have. So we did day 3 yesterday, which ended with each of the 3 of us owning 2 continents. We battled each other out, and it's really lovely. So this is a kind of silver lining that I have the boys here and we're able to play Risk. But the difference between the last time we played Risk and this time is I didn't used to have to share the wine with them.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And what about Anita? Tell. I don't know if everybody knows that Anita, Malachy's wife, plays the violin, and she also plays in the ICO as a guest player. And does she play Risk as well, or is she just like super good and just would kill you all?
Anita's not so keen on that kind of a warring board game, but there are other games. We had a game the other night of a card game called Wizard, which takes a long time. In fact, we only got halfway through it. We will return to it. This is the thing about our current situation, is we feel that there's time, there's time to get around to a thing. And you mentioned in your video, which I watched just this morning,
yeah.
your video in this series, you mentioned that you started cleaning your house, that you're in the cleaning your house phase. Well, we're still in it. I think we're probably going to still be in it, because little by little, I think the room that you see behind me is not going to get not cleaned, not in the way that most people would define clean. This is the music room, and there's too much stuff. You can't put it all away because there's no way of putting it away. But the rest of the house is looking pretty clean. We have 2 clean ovens. We have a clean dresser, what we call the bicycle room, which is where the bikes go, and all the tools and bits of, tools and utensils and things and hammers and nails and all that. That room got emptied yesterday and put back together again, which took me most of the day. That was satisfying too.
Well, to be honest, I'm glad to hear that you have been doing the cleaning and not Anita.
She's been doing more. I'm shamed. I'm shamed into doing some.
Very good. So just to finish off, just so we don't go on too long, what are you missing most about the ICO?
I couldn't say one thing. There's so many things. The ICO, you know yourself. It really is. It's a family. It's a social group. It's an artistic outlet. Actually, what I've realized, because I'm still making music here, and I'm lucky because I have my wife and my boys who are both musicians, not professional musicians, but they're musicians. So we can play together, and we do. And I'm doing a lot of practice. I'm practicing my double bass. Not necessarily every day, actually, because I get this feeling of time, but I get stuck into it and spend hours just working on something. That I'm working on a piece by John Kinsella, the Irish composer, at the moment, which it's a fiddly little thing, and it's great to have the time to spend on it, given that there's no outcome, there's no likely reward for this, but that isn't a factor right now. That's lovely. Also practicing a lot of banjo, because that's a thing that is a personal. I find banjo keeps me sane. It drives the rest of my family mad, though. So there's a kind of trade-off there. But I don't know. But anyway, getting back to the ICO, all this there is lots of opportunities for me to make music at home on my own and also with my family. But what I miss, what I realize with great certainty now, is that because I've been doing concerts in public since I was a teenager, all my life. And I realize now, with the absence of that, playing music and communing with the music itself and with the instrument that you're playing, and indeed with the composer in their absence, that's all very well. But the communion with the audience is for me the spiritual experience, which is not the same necessarily for everybody. I think that there are musicians for whom the communion with the music is the primary nourishing factor, that playing Bach at home on your violin, for example, is a deeply rewarding thing for a violinist to do. And maybe it's because I'm playing a bass player, that there isn't the same solo repertoire to spend your time with that will fulfill you so deeply. But actually, even playing with the orchestra together in a room, which allows me to do my function as a bass player, is still not the same as delivering it to an audience. And I use the word communion in a religious sense. It seems to me that what I realize now, that is a religious function, or spiritual function, if you like, in my life, is sharing music with my colleagues. And the Irish Chamber Orchestra are the group that I hold most dear, and have been with for the longest also. I mean, it's more than, it's a long time. It's well over half my life I've been playing with the Irish Chamber Orchestra. But delivering it to the audience is the moment. That's the moment of deep reward and sharing. The sharing in that, and not just for myself, but I remember witnessing in concerts my a kind of almost overflowing of emotion. This is years ago, decades ago, but in the Irish Chamber Orchestra, sitting there in a moment where, as sometimes happens with the bass player, you're sitting there with some rests. So you might have 8 bars to wait until you enter with your profound utterance, and sitting there in the rests and listening to what my colleagues were doing, how they were delivering, how much of themselves they were giving and willingly and beyond the call of duty, not just playing the notes, delivering, really delivering emotional, deep, artistic, well, to me, nourishment and sharing that with the audience. And I almost couldn't come in after my rests. I was so moved by this. And I still have this to a small degree all the time, playing with the Irish Chamber Orchestra. You know, that sounds so soppy. It is soppy, but it's true.
It's quite soppy. I have to say, it's quite soppy. And I can imagine that when other members, particularly of the viola section, listen to this, they'll all roll their eyes and they'll go, oh, oh, oh. But I have to say, I agree. It's sometimes I sit and listen to other people, and I'm just amazed at how brilliant they are, or how incredible they are at playing together or listening to each other, or how totally in the moment they are in a performance. And whilst we kind of try all that in rehearsals, obviously in rehearsals, we're also quite busy messing about and checking our phones and talking to each other and doing things we shouldn't be doing. But in a concert, it's the most concentrated experience of life, really, I think.
Yeah, and with the highest admiration for the skill of my colleagues. For me, the skill is not the most impressive thing. It's the generosity.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You've worked with players. We've all worked with players who are immensely skilled, but somehow transactional, you know, and that's the thing. That's the thing that doesn't. This is not a feature of this orchestra, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll all be back together again before too long. It's going to be the most amazing concert.
Yeah.
And anybody who's watching this, any of our audience members, if the concert's in Limerick, you really should come to the Castle Troy Hotel bar after the concert, because after that very first concert, there is going to be some incredible celebration.
Yeah. And we're going to want to hug everybody, like just everybody, all the audience, everybody.
That's absolutely brilliant, Malachy. Thank you ever so much. It's really nice to chat to you.
Yeah, really nice to see you as well, Matthew.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.